Happy hump day. It is hump day, right? Today is Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. Okay. Um, Making sure I got myself together here. Today is Wednesday, June the 11th, 2025. You're watching John McEntyre Show live. I'm John McEntyre, and our goal here is for your financial health and wellness. And so we got a lot to cover here. Well, not a lot, but it's something very important. But before I get into that, I saw on the news today. Um, uh, I forgot what channel it was. One of the big channels. Um, just talking about getting getting credit cards in children's names, not debit cards, credit cards. Um, and you could tell I was actually at the gym because this is where my today's topic is also coming from. The idea for the topic show today is coming, but it was about giving kids credit card. And this lady, she was holding a toddler, and she was saying that she's going to have a credit card opened in his name. And everyone was like, that's not a good idea. And I agreed because I'm like, they at that age, a toddler, basically they don't really care about that type of stuff anyway. You know, snack, nap time, toys. Snack, nap time, toys. Snack, nap time, toys. Well, snack, toys, nap time in that order. You know, that's all that really matters to a toddler, and that's all that really matters to an adult. Just the other stuff is sprinkled in between there. But give me a snack, give me a toy, and then let me take a nap. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, so I want your opinion on that. Do you agree that it's good to give have a credit card open? And then they was also saying, as they get like 6, 7 years old, you can start teaching them. You don't need to teach them about credit cards that early. Just teach them the basics, financial literacy basics. Savings, giving, maybe a chore, start earning some money, and then let that be the foundation, and start to instill saving and budgeting, doing those types of things. Giving them a credit card, that's like giving a toddler a loaded gun. I mean, give them the gun, they want to play cowboys and Indians or bank robbers or something like that. Give them a credit card and they know it's money, then you'll be one of those stories about the families with all of the Amazon packages stacked up at the front door because the kid kind of opened up the app, knew that, okay, well, this right here, I punch this, it shows up at the door. That's what you're asking for. That's definitely what you're asking for. So yeah, it's just something to think about. I mean, I saw it and everyone was like all abuzz about it, and they were like, do you agree? And I was like, I definitely do not agree. Start with the debit card, and work with that as long as possible anyway. All right. Well, today's, like I said, that was a big topic. Like I said, I'm at the gym early in the morning, and it's you know, most this crowd is like the working adults. They want to get their workouts done, and they have to go to work. Then you also have the retirees, and that's the reason why I like being around the retirees, because you get so many good stories and questions, and they will talk. They will talk about everything. All the prior inhibitions, they've gone out the window. They was like, I don't have time for that. I'm in problem solving mode, you know. And I had one. It was so funny the way he said it. He said, I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. I don't have time for it. Right now I have to get this stuff taken care of, you know. So, and that's what I like about them. Well, today's topic is basically, is your financial life organized and protected? I think I did a show about it, like maybe it's been months ago, maybe almost a year ago, almost this time last year. I was talking about it, but it was that important because it came up today. And the reason why it came up, one of the not Jim on, one of the members, we talk often. We talk often. And he came in. He was like his his wife's brother-in-law suddenly passed away. His younger brother, so he's in his early 50s, and he was like so relatively young. He was healthy and all of this, and he passed away prematurely. And um, we're scrambling. And he said, I told him about you. He's talking about me. He said, if need be, I may need you. I'm like, hey, I'm here for you. You know that. He said, because we don't know anything. His wife doesn't know too much about what's what. He did a lot of stuff, but we don't know. And he was like, what would be the first thing? I said, well, um, try to find as much as you can, do as much as you can by yourself. Push come to shove, you may have to bring in a forensic accountant or, the attorneys. I said, and he was like, oh, I could see it in his eyes. He said, that's going to be expensive. I was like, exactly. That's why I'm saying, try to do as much as, do as much as you can, yourself. Find, just pull everything apart. You may have to pull the house apart to find these documents and all of this. You may have to make phone calls, and everything. Uh, but yeah, you let the forensic accountants and these attorneys be, the last people you bring in. They eventually will have to come in, but let them be last, because that will at least, keep your expenses low, you know. And so it made me think, as he and we talked, it made me think about, uh, people. I've seen it more often than not. People to find these, uh, someone pass away prematurely, or not even prematurely. They just don't have everyone in the loop, and they pass away, and now um, the family is already stressed out. They're mourning. In mourning, some people get angry. Some people, they just get sad and they become depressed. They shut down. They don't want to do anything. Um, it depends on the person. They don't have you to ask these questions. Where is this document? Where is this? Where is that? Where is this? And so they're already at their height of emotions, and it goes downhill from there, you know. And so that was, this from this morning. It reminded me, I was thinking about a story of someone I know, that the guy had passed away. I was called in, not called in, but eventually he had a lot of property, and I had a buyer that was wanting to buy some of the property. That part his property was sort of known, and he owned a lot around, just like lots and plots of land, like important pieces of land. He had bought them years ago, decades ago, and back when they were like out in rural areas, and now they become very important. And so um, everyone was like, okay, we have to locate this, we have to locate that. About 3 days later, uh, two of his brothers showed up from out of town, from Florida. And one of them, he had this box, this fireproof and waterproof box. And he was like, I have everything. I have his entire life in this box. He said, because um, he was well to do. The brother from Florida, they like were renowned in a particular industry. And so they were pretty, wealthy themselves. The brother, he was doing well. He wasn't as wealthy as them. But these two brothers were his backers. They were always his financial backers. He came from a small town family. Some of them did well. Most of them did not do so well. And so these three, they worked together a lot. And that was the only contact that those two brothers from Florida had with the area. So he showed up and he had everything. He said, because this was the agreement. The only way we're going to back you financially and help you make purchases and do things with your business, we have to know where you are financially. If something happens, we do not want to spend a lot of money without giving our attorneys, finding attorneys to do all of this, to piece all of this stuff together. And boy, did that save a lot of time. And it was like a series. It was one of those fireproof and waterproof boxes. and both of them, each one had a key, and they said that he had a key, and they knew where everything was, even up, in up here. They knew where everything, because, and the other family members that didn't even know that these guys had been visiting. They visited not often, but when they needed to. And they were like, I remember sitting in the attorney's office, and they were all going back and forth, and I'm like, wow, this was crazy. And my buyers, we were like looking at each other, and the other family, well, why didn't you tell us? They was like, it wasn't your business. He didn't want you guys to know. The ones that he wanted to know knew, and that was us. And so that was a big time saver, because the other family members, they were all stressed out, and they had started arguing and things like that. They were losing time. I mean, the morning part, it went out the window, and some other things that was involved. And these two brothers from Florida, they was like sharp guys, and they were like, we know why everyone's arguing. It's all about the money. We know that, and all of this type of stuff. And they took care of that. They was like, we don't even want to be bothered with you guys anymore. Wrote checks, gave them, and told them to leave, get out of the attorney's office. And the attorney didn't have any choice but to honor their wishes. And they were like, we're not going to open this box until they're gone. They left, opened up the box, and everything was there. And the attorney was like, wow, And so I was like, that was probably the most organized I had ever seen someone, being. And, it made a big impression on me. And so I was like, okay, so what do you guys have a name for this? They was like, this is each one of us have one. It's the in case I die box. Had a letter in there. I'll go over the things that was inside in the box that should go in your box. And they was like, yes, we're sad, we're missing, but we're not like crazy mourning, because we didn't have to worry about this type of stuff. We were able just, because he was their baby brother, and they were like, we knew that this time, because of some of the things that he was doing, and we really started to press him about information, because we were like, either you empty out your bank account and give us our money, or we get everything organized. Because they traveled the world and things like that. And they were like, we don't have time to do phone calls. If we're in Japan, we don't have time to be doing these phone calls from around the world just to get stuff organized. And so that made a big time impression on me. And when I talk to someone, we're talking, that's one of my first questions, do you have everything organized? I've done this show before, but this just that important. And so I wanted to just cover a few things that should go into your box, that in case I die box, or when I die box, whatever you want to name it, or it's just my financial organizer. Let's just call it that. We don't want to make this show morbid. We don't want to be morbid about it. First one is, I remember seeing in there, it's the letter. If you're reading this, that means I'm dead letter. It's a letter, and it gives an outline of things. It's an outline of what's in there. It's not the will. It's not the will. This is just a personal letter. You might want to speak your mind with it, I don't know. But it's like a personal letter. And it sets the stage for what's happening next. Next document that should be in there, you're preparing your net worth statement, prepared on a spreadsheet. And whatever's on that net worth statement, there should be a document somewhere representing it in the box. Because we all know what the net worth spreadsheet is about. It's about your assets and your liabilities. Assets that you have, liabilities, any debts, everything like that. And I'll cover that. The will and trust documents. These are the legal documents needed to ensure correct transfer of assets. Because that's where it usually gets messy. That's where it can really get messy. When there is no will, there's no trust. And it goes, into probate, things like that. The clock starts ticking. And that means when the time is ticking, money is happening, because then the state, they step in, and you're pretty much at the control of the courts. The courts pretty much take control of it, outside of maybe an insurance policy and naming a beneficiary. Outside of that, if it's not that, anything else, the court's going to take over. Then they're going to decide how to proceed from there. And so you just don't want to get it messy. Wills and trusts, depending on how much what you own, all of your assets and every other thing, it will decide with this. And in this particular, the story that I was telling with the brothers showing up at the court, there were trusts and wills involved. A lot of trusts. I mean, it was like 10 different trusts set, because of the different businesses going on and different property ownerships and all of this. And so it was a lot. I was like, this would have been impossible. An attorney and we were talking about it, and he was like, yes, this would have taken years of, and it would have had to been at the whim of people's memory and things like that. And he said it would have been ugly. Next thing on the list, your investment account information. If you have 401k, if you have a IRA, 403b, whatever, the information, copies of this information needs to be in this box. And I know before I even go forward, a lot of people say, well, I use the cloud. I have everything on cloud. And I agree with that. Yes, have it on the cloud. That's another layer. But I'm still all about paper. I'm still about this. You open up a box and you have these documents in hand, then hey, there we go. If it's in a cloud, if it's being held that way, all the better. It's just another layer. But I'm still old school about things, and most people are when it comes to this particular situation. If you can have the most tech savvy person in the world, they can have everything on the cloud. This situation happens, they're ready to see paper. They're ready to see paper. And I mean, it can be the younger generation. I've seen even the younger ones that was like, do you not have like a piece of paper somewhere of this? There you go. So those investment accounts, automobile information. If you own it, the title should be in there, or titles, depending on how many vehicles you own. If they are still in financing, then those documents should be in there. The contracts should be in the box. And so that's very important, because most of the time, I've grown up hearing this time and time again. My brother passed away, and so I know he would want me to have the car. Most people, they automatically think when a family member passes away, they are entitled to something. We don't know yet. It all depends on what they had going on. We don't know. And I've seen that get ugly also. Yeah, you can have the car if you make the payments, whatever. Oh, he didn't own this car? Oh, no, it was financed and all of this. Oh, wow. And everyone's emotional. They want money. They want a free and clear automobile or a property or something. They want something. They don't want the debt that may come with it, though. And so that's why it needs to be in there. Another important one, child and pet care instructions. Definitely powerful. So no one will be fighting over them, because people will be fighting over them. Either they will be fighting not to take the kids or the pet, or they'll be fighting for the kids and the pet. Like, for instance, I give you a perfect example. One of my brother Eddie, he, we've talked about this type of stuff. We would talk about it a lot. And he was like, so something happened to you, just make sure, just let Bella know she's going to be with us and all of this. I said, well, what if he was like, I don't care who's on the document, Bella's coming with me. So let's just get that one. Let's just take that one, take care of that right now. No one's going to take Bella. If something happens, I will be there to get Bella. And who's going to take her? I mean, and this him, he has this personality. I was like, all right, okay, no arguments. He was like, he said, let's just take care of that right off the gate. Other stuff is fine. Bella's coming with me. She's coming to stay with me. And even if you don't even have to send money with her. I'll take care of her. She's coming with me. I was like, okay, that's serious. When someone says, I'm going to take the child and I don't even need the money, they're serious. You don't question that. You don't argue against it, But it is in there. It should be in there. Child and pet care instructions. Child and pet care instructions. All passwords and backup codes. All, to all accounts. All of your passwords. Email accounts. I mean, perfect example. My father, he's still alive, and it was like, it was almost like being a forensic accountant. Just to find, he has one email address, and it took us forever for him to find his password. I'm like, this is just one account, and I was like, so I could just imagine. And I said, okay, we need to find stuff. He was like, I want you more involved. And I was like, all right, well, we've got to go through the process. We've got to get this straightened out, because this has been a headache just to find one password to an email account. But with email accounts, especially when you get older, most of the time setting up accounts, you need an email address, especially when, older, retired, or, they've gone on Medicare and things like that. Well, to sign up for those, you have to have an email address. They want an email address. No, they require an email address. You have to have it. And so it was like, luckily he had his card, so that was the easy part, the Medicare card. But finding that email address, that password, and once I found it, it had been changed like 5 or 6 times, like every few months it was changed. And I was like, yeah, because you was forgetting. Okay. I said, okay. And he was like, I think I even had more than one, because one time I couldn't remember one. So I just set up another one. I was like, all right. And I was like, okay. So now I understand all of the different social media handles, social media accounts and things you forget. And so you just set up a totally different, you just go from the, you just start from scratch. We can't do that, man. We have to get this stuff in order and get it organized. And we laughed about it and we took care of it. But, just that one, you see how much of a headache it can become if you have like all of the properties and all of this type of stuff and accounts and family members arguing and wanting their share that they're entitled to. That's why you want to have all of those passwords. All insurance policies. You have to have the insurance policies, especially today with so many we have so many natural disasters, floods, hurricanes. I mean, it was like, for instance, tornadoes are like over 100%, 120% up from last year at this time in the same amount of time. 120% more tornadoes has happened, and you're seeing these people. I mean, I love watching the Weather Channel. It's pretty much what I watch most of the time. And these people are out after a tornado and they're searching for stuff in the documents here and important papers and all over. So now we have to be concerned about identity theft and things like that, where if this stuff was in a box, fireproof, waterproof box, pretty much destruction proof, all you need to find is the box. Let's just find the box, and they're heavy and stout and things like that, so they're not going to go far. If it was a tornado, if it's a flood, they will float, or if they are trapped underwater, no big deal. Some people have stuff in like filing cabinets, and that's better than nothing. It can protect from fire, but flood, I've seen file cabinets in storage underwater. File cabinet is flooded, no go. Fire, it would have been fine. Flooding, it didn't do so well. So that's why I say flood, waterproof and fireproof. Even better, I remember a house that had burned down in my hometown. And only 2 things. This is one of those old, what they call stick-built houses. Everything was just pretty much all wood and wiring. That was it. Making, nails, only metal in there was the nails and all this, some brackets and stuff. Rest of it was wood. Old house, old historic house. Went up, those houses, they go when a flame hits them, they go up. They go up. Only thing standing that you can see standing on this foundation was a safe, a big safe, like, it was maybe 6 feet tall, safe, and the chimney, the fireplace and chimney, the rock fireplace and chimney. Those were the only two things still standing on the foundation of the house. And the person, just so happened, one of the heirs knew the combination, walked up to the safe, opened it up, everything was fine, perfect in there. Now that's security at its highest level. That's security at its highest level. And so that would be good, especially protecting all this type of stuff. I just went on that little bit, just talking. I just wanted to stress how important it is. Last but not least, birth certificates, passports, and a copy of your driver's license. Those are very important documents. Birth certificate, we know why that's so important. Passports, all of this type of stuff, is just to protect identity. It's for identity protection. Driver's license, another proof of identification, just in case something else is needed. It's just important. And also, the box, in conclusion, I'm going to wrap this up. The box, you don't create the box and then just don't use it. It's something that you can use on a daily basis. Where all of your stuff is. Something, a question is asked, when it's time to visit a doctor, or it's time to do this, it's time, you've paid off something, it's not like you create this box and you never open it again. You just know where everything is. You're going to always use it, and you will keep it organized, and you will keep it up to date. Make sure it's updated, because we don't need you to create a box today and 15 years later you pass away and you never touched it again. And now that we have to call in the forensic accountant, because yes, we do have some good stuff here, but 15 years have passed. So now we have to take care of that. So that's just something I wanted to cover today. Now you see the importance of it. The reason why I wanted to do today's show about it is because that's just how important all your life. This is your life, and this is control. You stand in control of things even after you've passed on. You don't want your family and friends and everyone, your loved ones, your close ones. They can't mourn and do the things that they really want to do because they're scrambling to piece together maybe 30 or 40 years of your past life. And so now you see the importance. Get that box, that fireproof and waterproof box. You can get a basic one, decent one, $30, but spend $100, close to $200. Is that now you really have a very good box. You can talk to a security consultant. I may even do that. I may even have a security consultant. I know a couple of them that tells you the different levels of protection with these boxes and everything. And so if you are ready to get organized, I know you're probably thinking, hey, I'm not organized. I need to talk to someone. Give us a call. And most of the time when we're looking at organizing, we end up doing a lot more. And so it may be time to just have that financial checkup, and the organizing part is just part of the financial checkup. So our contact information is on the screen there. Give us a call, contact us, go to johnmcentyre.com, schedule an appointment, get on the calendar, and we will take care of it from there. So thank you for tuning in. If you're watching by YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to share it. Watching by Facebook Live, share it. Let people know about it. Send us your wallet wins, your questions and comments. We'll make sure and share those, answer your questions, celebrate your wallet wins with you. And that being said, I will see you next time, same channels. Have a good day.